Welcome to the Subway Conversation Chat with the 28th Subway Series going on as we speak. My name is Jamie Malloy, and I'm going to bring on my co-host, Joe Dalio, now to talk some Yankees-Mets baseball. So now, everybody, without further ado, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going great. Good evening, Jamie. Good evening, anybody watching here. And lots to talk about in baseball. And of course, we got our favorite teams going head to head here for a couple of games.
Subway Series.
So definitely a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, we do. So, Joe, would you like to get us started this week with some Mets news?
All right, I could definitely do that. Just not too much going on as far as transactions and things like that. We were talking about how backup catcher, former Yankee, Luis Torrens was doing very well for the Mets. Just missed a few days due to paternity list there, so they were without him, but no harm done there. Congratulations to him. They also recalled relief pitcher Danny Young. I remember on last week's show, we were talking about how I was a little surprised that they sent Young down to the minors, but they brought him up again this week. He struggled a little bit, but good to see him back on the roster. And then some injury and, shall we say, other news. Injuries, Sean Reed-Foley on the DL again, or the IL again, 15-day IL. He's got a shoulder impingement. So a little concerning there since he's had these issues before. So we'll see what happens with that. He was doing pretty well with them. Starling Marte on the IL as well. He has a bruise on his knee. They don't seem too concerned, but he's on the 10-day IL, and we'll see if he can come back as soon as possible. And here's the biggest joke of the week. A relief pitcher named Edwin Diaz for the Mets actually thinking he can get past the umpires with like syrup on his hands. And how he thought he was going to get away with that, I have no idea. But it happened on Sunday Night Baseball in front of the whole country. And now Edwin Diaz suspended for 10 games. I don't know what the as of date is. I don't know if it was as of yesterday or the incident happened on Sunday. So I don't know, if that started on Monday or Tuesday. The date of it was June 25th, which was yesterday. But again, Mr. Intelligent there thinking he can pass these umpires with sticky stuff on his hands. No appeal or anything like that. So they are without Edwin Diaz, without their top reliever. And what I didn't realize with the penalty, in this situation is the Mets cannot replace him on the roster for those 10 days. So, that messes them up a little bit there. But otherwise, we'll talk about statistics and things like that going forward. But that's it as far as transactions and people in and out of the lineup. So how about the Yankees side of things? What's going on over there, Jamie?
Well, Joe, thanks for giving us Mets news. Excellent job. But we want to talk about right now in the injury report, the big one being Giancarlo Stanton being placed on the 10-day injury list before Sunday's game against Atlanta, and now he's really going to be out for a month. And he spoke after their 3-1 loss to the Braves, and he expects to be out approximately 4 weeks, which is a month. The Yankees DH received a PRP injection on Sunday. A Yankees manager, Aaron Boone, described his strain as mild. Stanton obtained his injury during Saturday's 8-3 win over Atlanta. He was scoring home from second base when the 34-year-old was seen wincing between third base and home, straining his left hamstring. And this has been a problem that's kept him out of the lineup for the past 3 years or in his career as a Yankee. So what do you think about those hamstring injuries, Joe? Because they always come back.
Yeah, if it's a one-time thing, it's not too concerning. But, they mentioned this on the Fox broadcast, too. I was watching it when it happened. And they mentioned, too, that it's a recurring thing. So, of course, when it's a reoccurring, then of course you got to be a little more concerned and think, when's it going to happen again? And you certainly hope it doesn't. Now, the Yankees have proven that they could play without star players, but still, Stanton was doing quite well. Definitely a valuable member of that lineup. So hopefully he misses minimal time. They said a month, and hopefully that's all it is. And, he can get back in there and get back on track. But, they're going to have to do something to make sure that it doesn't occur again, and that he can stay in that lineup going forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're gonna need him, but they're also talking about trading for another superstar who happens to wear the jersey number 27, but we'll get into that later, as this is kind of a spicy story I want to talk about. Anyway, let's talk about some of the new additions. With the Bombers being in a little slump as of late and the injury to Stanton, they could sure use some extra help with batting. So on Sunday, they agreed to a player trade with the Oakland A's. They acquired infielder J.D. Davis and cash considerations in exchange for infielder Jordan Groshans. Davis previously played for the Mets and also had stints with the Giants and Astros. The Yankees can also use some help in pitching, as a right-hander Ian Hamilton was placed on the 15-day injury list due to a right lat strain. So the Yankees signed reliever Tim Hill. Last week, the Chicago White Sox designated Hill for assignment, although it seems like they're designating everybody because they're selling basically their whole team. They've been selling since Walmart opened up their shop, which is a long time ago. Anyway, the 34-year-old was 1-0 at a 5.87 ERA in 27 relief outings for the White Sox this season. So, Joe, would you like to get us caught up with some more stats? And before you do that, how about we talk about J.D. Davis? You know him well from the Mets, and this isn't just the Subway Series. It's also the J.D. Series, too, as it's Yankees J.D. Davis against Mets J.D. Martinez.
Yeah, there you go. Now, I'd rather have J.D. Martinez, but, Davis was a valuable player with the Mets. And it's a good move by the Yankees because they got him, it seems like at a pretty cheap price. And he could fill in very well there. So, he's not Giancarlo Stanton, but he'll be a valuable player. He could play different positions and, hit in different parts of the lineup. So I think Yankees will enjoy having them there. He was doing well. I mean, he did, very well with the Mets. He was doing well with the Giants, with the A's. So, again, for the price that they got him at, I think it's a good move for the Yankees, and it's good to see J.D. Davis, anyway, back in New York. So, All right, so let's talk about some Mets stuff here. Now, again, the Mets continue to do very well. So again, as I always say, it's always great talking Mets when when things are going well. Now, they lost the last game to Texas. They went 3-2 since we last talked here last Wednesday. It was Wednesday night where they had their 7-game winning streak snapped against the Rangers. But they did win 2 out of 3 in Wrigley Field. All right, so we'll take that. I said if we can get 2 out of 3 out of that, and at least split this Yankee series, which they were able to take the game, last night. So they're going to at least split the series, and they're tied so far here. So not bad, 3-2. If they go 3-2 the rest of the way, every 5 games, that should keep them in great shape here. Let's go over some statistics here. We've talked about how Francisco Alvarez was getting back into the groove after being out for with his injury. Well, you want to hear some excellent stats here. He had 2 home runs and 2 RBIs, which is very good for the week. But his batting average this week was .455. How's this for an OPS? The combination of on-base percentage and slugging percentage. 1829. So 1.829, which is incredible. Now, he's getting on base. He had 6 walks and 17 plate appearances. So, definitely getting there. Now, here's a stat with Alvarez that I was made aware of watching one of the games. When Alvarez was out, when he was injured, the Mets were 17, or not only those games, but when Alvarez is not in the starting lineup, the Mets are 17-31. Now, based on their current record, that means with Alvarez in the lineup, they are 21 wins, 8 losses. So if you don't think this guy makes a huge difference, I think it's in the numbers there that he certainly does. Ever since he came back, that's when the Mets have gone on this winning streak and really, got themselves back into the mix here. So definitely, we're talking Mets MVP right now when you look at information like that. Another potential Mets MVP anyway, Brandon Nimmo, had 3 home runs this week, along with 6 RBIs, and he reclaimed his spot as the team leader in RBIs. He had a 1296 OPS, which also is absolutely incredible. The rest of the offense continues to click. Speaking of that OPS, again, getting on base and getting extra base hits and things like that, JD Martinez, Lindor, Bader, Iglesias, and Vientos all had OPSs over 1,000 this week. So, they're still smacking the ball, getting on base. Speaking of Vientos, he had 3 home runs, again, just like Nimmo did. He hit 2 in the big game against the Yankees last night. The other one that he hit was, again, in front of the whole country on Sunday Night Baseball. 435 not yards. That would have been really something to talk about. But a 435-foot dead center Wrigley Field home run. So, to hit the camera guy there in center field or right around that area. So Vientos, again, beginning of the year, we were saying he should have been with the team, and he's certainly proving that here with his excellent performance still. Going back to JD Martinez, he continues to excel. Excuse me, again, with the OPS over 1,000, 6 RBIs this week in those 5 games. So JD continues to produce. So as I said, Nimmo, the RBI leader, now at 46. Another thing I was looking at too is there's 3 Mets overall for the season that have over 10 steals, double-digit steals here. Lindor is the leader with 13, Marte with 12, and Harrison Bader with 11. So doing it in all aspects here. So, good to see some speed on the bases too. All right, so let's talk about pitching real quick here. Some good starts and some not so good starts here. Luis Severino, again, on that Sunday night game at Wrigley, amazing performance there. He pitched 6, didn't give up a run, gave up 6 hits in that, but the really impressive part was 10 strikeouts. And these guys couldn't touch him there for a while. Jose Quintana went 6 1/3, and he only gave up 1 run, 4 hits, and had 8 strikeouts. So, again, a couple of quality starts there. David Peterson pitched last night's game against the Yankees. Now, he only went 4 1/3. He didn't pitch horribly. He had 8 strikeouts in that game, only gave up a run and 3 hits in the 4 1/3. But the problem was he threw a lot of pitches because he had 5 walks. So that's something that's he could have kept himself in the game longer. He doesn't get the win because he didn't go the 5 necessary for that. So, not a bad performance for Peterson, but if you can get the walks down and the pitches down, he could stay in another inning or 2. Tyler McGill has been pitching great since he came back off the injured list. However, this was his worst start of the season. He pitched 3. This was against the Cubs, the game that they lost in that series. Only went 3 innings and gave up 6 earned runs. So worst start for McGill. Hopefully he can recover and come back and pitch like he was. As far as the relief pitchers, nothing really great to talk about there. Danny Young, as I said, struggled. So did Ottavino, Nunez, although Nunez got the win in one of those games. Diekman did get a save. What happened, Drew Smith was pitching very well, but he had to come in for Diaz when Diaz got, when he got ejected in that game. And so Smith had to come in cold in that game, pitched well, but there's always the risk of injury, and basically ended up being taken out of that game. But they were able to win, and Diekman got the save. So as we look ahead this week for the Mets, they again got this Yankee game tonight. It was no score in the third last I looked, but a hot Houston team coming in this weekend, an Astros team that's playing like we expected them to play. They got off to that horrible start this year, but the Astros are playing very well these days. And again, with the Mets, again, they're not a good home team here, so little concerning there. If they could take 2 out of 3 in that series, I'll be very happy with that. And then after the weekend, they have a 4-game set at Washington. Last time they were in Washington, they played very well against the Nationals. So hopefully they can do the same there. So again, the game against the Yankees here, and again, those 3 Astros games, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week against Washington. So the Mets are now 38-39, right back almost to the 500 mark. Only a game and a half now out of the wild card in that mix of teams in the National League that have a shot. But a game and a half, being halfway through the season here, if you would have told the Mets would be a game and a half out, I would have been happy. And if you would have told me 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, whenever they were in the middle of that major skid, I would have called you crazy, and I would have been ecstatic if you would have told me that, don't worry, by the end of June, by the halfway mark of the season, they're only going to be a half game out of the wild card and only a game under 500. So still playing very well. Again, they're going to get a big test this weekend against the Astros, but we'll see. If they keep playing like they are and getting the pitching and hitting that they are, there's no reason they can't take 2 out of 3 out of that series. So what stands out to you as far as the Yankees this week and coming up, Jamie?
I just think they've been struggling to win series. They've only taken the last 2 out of 3, but if you look at it, they're still in good shape. They're still 52-29. I'm not going to panic yet, but we do have to figure out the Yankees do have to figure out their first base situation real quick, whether in the short and the long term. But right now, with the MLB season coming to a halt, coming to the halfway point, not a halt, sorry, we thought that it would be fun to pick out our top 5 MVPs, Cy Youngs, and Rookies of the Year players in each league. And I'll start out with the top 5 MVP in the AL. Number 1, we have, of course, Aaron Judge, center fielder of the New York Yankees. Judge has had a great season worthy of an AL MVP. Number 99 is batting .304 in the season, along with 29 home runs and 75 RBIs. And he also leads the league in doubles, homers, RBIs, walks, and, of course, slugging and OPS. Number 2, we have Juan Soto. Baby, I got your money. If Judge win the AL MVP, then his teammates, Juan Soto, shall be a close second. Number 22 with the Yanks is batting .305 with 19 home runs and 57 RBIs. And Soto doesn't even have to be the DH. And he also said he doesn't want to be the DH either. So that's okay.
Yeah, that's always what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, I don't know if he's gonna take it, but we have Gunnar Henderson, the Baltimore Orioles, as shortstop. The Orioles shortstop is batting .282 with 25 home runs and 55 RBIs. And Henderson has been a great leader for the O's and has been a clutch hitter when needed. Number 4, we have Bobby Witt Jr., the shortstop of the Kansas City Royals. And Witt is currently batting .311 with 12 home runs and 53 RBIs. The KC shortstop is also on the All-Star game ballot. At number 5, we have Jose Ramirez, the third baseman of the Cleveland Guardians. Ramirez is a wild card for the AL MVP. His batting average may be only 279, but his 21 home runs and 72 RBI shows he's disciplined while at the plate. Nevertheless, Ramirez has worked very hard to even have a shot at winning AL MVP. So, Joe, before you get to your top 5 NL MVPs, what do you think of my top 5 AL MVP choices?
Yeah, that would be my top 5. Now, a month ago, I would have told you, Juan Soto is the guy there. But, now at this point, I have to go with Aaron Judge. I mean, statistically and what he's done, since May has been incredible. And, you mentioned some of the stats there, almost 30 home runs at this point, 75 RBIs at the halfway mark of the season. That's on pace for about $150. So, 1128 OPS, that is incredible. So these other players are amazing too. I mean, Gunnar Henderson is right there. He'd be probably my second pick. He's got 25 home runs. 20 less RBIs, though. He's only got 55 RBIs, 990 OPS, and he could steal bases. So he's got 13. Judge has only 5. But, Soto doing amazing thing. His OPS still over 1,000, 19 home runs, 57 RBIs. Bobby Witt, he could do it all. He's got 21 stolen bases. OPS close to 9, so 53 RBIs. So and Ramirez is a very valuable player to his team. So all of those are MVP worthy. Right now, though, I would certainly give it to Aaron Judge if things keep going the way they are. What about do you agree with that, or would you go in another direction there?
Yeah, I do agree with that. The reason why I had Soto number 2 was because of how he was playing. But the one thing you have a good point about Ramirez being able to swipe bags, whereas Aaron Judge is more of a home run hitter. But they're both home run hitters. It's just one can do something extra that the other one doesn't do as often. But yeah, I agree with Judge, and I like Bobby Witt Jr. as well because he's very disciplined at the plate, and he's also an all-star candidate. So Joe, do you want to give us your top 5 for the NL?
Yes. Now, if you look statistically, Shohei Ohtani is a little bit ahead. All right. So let me go back to where I have some stuff here. 24 home runs, 60 RBIs, and 1,002 OPS. And then, second, a lot of people are considering Bryce Harper, who's got 20 home runs, 57 RBIs, and a 987 OPS. So very close. Now, if it was me voting, even though statistically, Ohtani, and again, me, it's like I'm very interested in the stats, and I go by that a lot. I think, again, as far as if you want to look at this award as the most valuable to their team, I would have to go with Harper in this situation. They have a lot of superstars too, and the Dodgers have a lot of players around Ohtani, probably even a better supporting cast than the Phillies do. But I think, when you look at things here, I think about it this way: who would be worse without this player, without their star player? So, for example, I think the Phillies would suffer a lot more if they lost Bryce Harper than the Dodgers would if they lost Ohtani. Now, people may disagree with me there. And again, they're extremely valuable players. And I think if things keep going the way they are, I think Ohtani will get it. But I honestly think Bryce Harper is the more valuable player here. again, he's the heart and soul of that Phillies team. He's willed them to some victories. He, a great clubhouse guy. Not that Ohtani is not, but right now, if I had to vote, I would go with Bryce Harper. Then you also have Freddie Freeman, again, another Dodger there. So, part of that supporting cast. And I like Ozuna of the Braves as well. But production-wise, there's a pretty significant drop-off from those two there. So, you can look at Ketel Marte would be my fifth guy. He's having a great season as well, but again, statistically not in the league of Ohtani or Harper. So again, people are probably going to vote for Ohtani, and he would win it at this point if things continue to go this way. But my vote is actually for Bryce Harper.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would go for Bryce Harper or Ohtani, but Marcell Ozuna, he's my favorite Marcel since Marcel the Shell with shoes on, that series on YouTube. I used to watch, my teacher used to play that in high school all the time. It was funny, but it was like a really stupid humor skit, but it was funny though. But anyway, Marcell Ozuna, I think he's very valuable to the Braves because I think if he goes down, then the Braves go down, because the Braves have kind of leveled off a little bit, where we kind of thought the Phillies would level off, and that's not happening. But yeah, I definitely think if Harper goes down, the Phillies do cool off. The Dodgers are fine with Ohtani, and even if Ohtani went down, then I would say Freddie Freeman would be my next choice for MVP.
Yeah, and I like your argument there, because if you're going by what I just said, then Ozuna is a great choice there, because again, as far as value, especially after the Braves lost, Ronald Acuna, Ozuna, and he was actually the MVP of the Braves even before Acuna went down. But, if you want to go again with that argument, as far as if they lost Ozuna at this point, then they would be really in a difficult situation. So, not to take anything away from him, but again, statistically, excuse me, I thought Ohtani and Harper were a step above.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm going to move on to my AL Top 5 Cy Young Awards. Number 1, we have Tarek. All he does is throw pitchers the skoo ball. Anyway, the Tigers lefty has improved his ERA 5 straight times since debuting in 2020. The lefty is 8-2 with a 2.20 ERA and 86 innings pitched. Should we start calling this fastball that, Joe? The skoo ball?
Yeah,
that'd be funny. Number 2, sorry, jumping ahead a little bit. We have Corbin Burns, baby Burns, the right-hand pitcher of the Baltimore Orioles. He's 8-2 with a 2.14 ERA and a 1.04 WHIP. The righty has looked sharp for the Orioles and is up for AL MVP. I know I kind of stated the obvious there, but you see here. So that's all I have for that. Number 3, I have Tanner Houck of the Boston Red Sox. Caw-caw, caw-caw. That's anybody who gets the UFL reference, that's the chant for the St. Louis Battlehawks. So I'm calling Tanner Houck that. The right-handed pitcher of the Boston Red Sox. Houck is 7-5 overall with a 0.28 ERA in 91 innings pitched. He has been the ace of the Sox, and like Ace of Base, he sees the sign and it opens up his eyes. Who used speed and bag swiping to go on a small winning streak. And so Jose Trevino's got to remember, swiper, no swiping next time. But the Red Sox want to swipe. If they want to swipe bags like Swiper the Fox, go right ahead. Number 4, We have Garrett Crochet, the left-handed pitcher of the Chicago White Sox, one of the White Sox bright spots in the lineup, and I kind of use that term loosely, as Crochet has a 6-5 record. Well, he's the only one who's still on the team and hasn't been dealt, sold, or been designated yet. Knock on wood. And he has a
He will be.
right, and he has a 3.16 ERA. Because the White Sox are sellers, Crochet might be dealt to a contender soon, where he will have a better opportunity to win a World Series ring. And lastly, we have 5, Cole Ragans, left-handed pitcher of the Kansas City Royals. While he may be pitching with only a 4-4 record and a 3.14 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP, it's kind of shocking to see this type of pitcher on this list. However, the lefty does get credit as he boasts a 102 to 26 strikeout to walk ratio. And Ragans has plenty of time, but will need to have more consistent starts. So, Joe, what do you think of my top 5 AL Cy Young awards? And then we'll get to your top 5 NL.
All right, perfect. Well, I think we talked about this a week or two ago, and I definitely said Skubal would be my vote for Cy Young, and I think most other people too. Again, this is a great list here, but I think just overall stats, Skubal's got pretty much everything covered. 9 wins so far, and I don't take wins too much into consideration because sometimes there's great pitchers that just don't get support, but he's got 9 wins here, 9-3 on a team that doesn't win a ton of games. ERA in the low 2s, 112 strikeouts. So, one of the tops there. The WHIP under 1, 0.94, and players are only hitting 201 against them. Again, a lot of good pitchers behind him, though. Corbin Burns with 8 wins, his ERA is right in the ballpark. 94 strikeouts, and again, the WHIP right at 1. Again, low 200s that people are hitting against him. Tanner Houck, same thing, low 2s ERA, 101 strikeouts, WHIP under 1. So, all of these guys could be considered into the conversation. Same with Crochet. Again, the one bright spot on the White Sox this year. And again, he won't be a White Sox for long. His ERA is a little higher. It's 3 or so. But he's got 130 strikeouts. Again, with the WHIP under 1, and the league is only hitting 198 against him. So, impressive stats there too. But overall, when you put it all together, and again, teams winning their games and showing up all the time. I mean, he blanked the Phillies the other day. Skubal would be my choice for Cy Young. And do you agree with that?
Yes, without a doubt. And I mean, we do, like I said, Joe, we'll have to try to talk to the MLB or try to get the Tigers manager, try to get Rob Manfred on here to. I'm just kidding, but that would be a long shot. But come on and
imagine
coin the fastball, call it the Skubal pitch.
Yeah, there you go. People can remember, though, that even if we don't get Manfred on here, remember you heard that here first from Jamie.
So anyway, would you like to tell us your top 5 for the NL now?
Yes. Now, again, I'm going to disagree with the top choice of the masses here, and not, for much of a reason here. Now, if voting was to happen today, I believe Zach Wheeler would end up getting this award and would certainly deserve it. He's got 9 wins as well, 2.73 ERA, 107 strikeouts, WHIP under 1. The league only hitting 186 against him. Those are incredible stats. But I've said this before when we've talked about excellent pitching. If it was my vote halfway through the season, I would go with his teammate, Ranger Suarez, who's 10-2. His ERA is 2.01, 99 strikeouts, and a little bit less of a WHIP, and the average only around 202. So really, those two pitchers are very comparable. Anybody wondering why the Phillies are, still winning over 60% of their games when you have a 1-2 punch like this with Wheeler and Suarez? And Aaron Nola is not so bad either. Great pitching staff that the Phillies have, and you get in starts like this, you're going to win games. So my MVP, or I'm sorry, Cy Young pick right now would be Ranger Suarez. But again, would I argue and say you're wrong if you chose Zach Wheeler? Of course not. He's certainly up there as well. Now, other people on the list to put there, Tyler Glasnow, who continues to pitch excellent for the Dodgers. 8 wins. His ERA still under 3. It's 2.88, but 135 strikeouts. Very impressive. The whip is 0.87, which is less than Wheeler and Suarez. Only hitting 174 against him, which is less than Wheeler or Suarez. So I wouldn't even argue if you presented a case for Tyler Glasnow because, again, some of those stats are better than the potential leaders there right now, as far as strikeouts, as far as walks and hits to innings pitched, as far as average against. So you could certainly make an argument for him. Other pitchers to talk about, Chris Sale. His stats are pretty much right in the same ballpark there. And then it, drops, your choices kind of drop a little bit after that. I mean, not that that your choices are bad, but Max Fried of the Braves, Sonny Gray, but he's had a couple of bad starts recently. So I would go, maybe in those directions. But really, when you look at that top 4, especially the top 3, you have some excellent choices to go on. Now, I know you don't maybe follow the National League as closely as you do the American League, but Jamie, which one of those pitchers would you go with at this point if the season ended today?
You threw a freaking flamethrower. You dropped a bomb on me there with Sonny Gray, former Yankee that we tried to pay as a starter, and then he ended up being a decent bullpen pitcher, but that was pretty much it. So, But anyway, I'm going to go with Ranger Suarez, actually.
Okay. We agree on that one.
Yeah, and to reference Jay-Z, if you're having batting problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a strikeout ain't one.
Very good.
99 strikeouts, all one away from a hundo, which is awesome. When he gets his 100th strikeout, he should Pat McAfee should get him on his program. Then he could call him the Huno strikeout man, kind of like he calls Jared Jones and Paul Skeens the Huno boys. But I think Zach Wheeler's an also excellent choice, but I'm going to go with Ranger Suarez based on everything I just said. And I'm sorry if it sounds like incoherent rambling from Billy Madison, but still, I explained it okay. But anyway, let's do the AL top 5, and as Chris Berman would say, the AL top 5 Rookie of the Year. Number 1, we have Luis Gil, right-handed pitcher for the New York Yankees. The king of the Gil has become more than just a dominant rookie. He has basically become the ace until Garrett Cole returned to the lineup and until last night. Sorry, Garrett Cole. It's just part of the process. With a 9-1 record and a 2.03 ERA, Gil is clearly the odd favorite to win the AL Rookie of the Year award. Number 2, this was kind of a no-brainer. Mason Miller, the right-hander of Oakland. And by the way, our producer Adam has on his fantasy baseball team, by the way, just to let you know, he loves telling everybody about that. Anyway, but the flame-throwing closer, without a doubt, should be in consideration for this award. His fastball can reach 103 to 104 miles per hour on the radar gun, and it's so fast and effective that even the Juan Sotos of the Aaron Judge in the world strike out against his pitches. Number 3, we have Cade Smith, the right-handed pitcher of the Cleveland Guardians. In a very small sample size, Smith is 3-1 with 1 save and a 1.67 ERA. He needs to show more of his stats and his talents in the second half of the season. Number 4, we have Wilyer Abreu, right fielder of the Boston Red Sox. Abreu is one of many Red Sox young and fast rookies to be contributing to the lineup right away. The Rook is batting .260 with 6 home runs and 22 RBIs. Now, the batting average may be down from last year, but he's still playing a full season and still contributing to the lineup every night. And number 5, we have Colton Cowser, offensive center fielder for the Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, not the Baltimore Ravens, the Baltimore Orioles. Sorry, wrong sport, wrong bird. Baltimore Orioles.
That's it. We'll be talking about that before you know it.
Yes, we will, though. Thank you for reminding, Joe. But anyway, back to baseball and the Baltimore Orioles. Batting a modest .226 with 10 home runs, Cowser has yet to tap into his full potential. Still, he is very disciplined at the plate and has very calm presence for a rookie. So, Joe, what do you think of my top 5 AL Rookie of the Year candidates before you give your top 5 NL candidates?
Yeah, it's an excellent list. I agree with it. If I was voting today, I would go with your pitcher there on the Yankees, Luis Gil. 9-2, as you mentioned, or you might have mentioned, 97 strikeouts. I was giving you some stats for our Cy Young pitchers and like the batting averages against them, which were slightly under 200. So I looked this up today. The league is hitting 164 against Luis Gil. So that's lower than those Cy Young candidates there. So you could put him in that conversation as well, but certainly Rookie of the Year, and that would be my vote at this point, and I'm sure probably a lot of other people. Now I don't know if you put these in order. I would maybe put Abreu second. And again, he's got close to an 800 OPS, a 792, with those 6 home runs and 22 RBIs that you mentioned there. So, yeah, I would put him at a close second. And again, the other ones should be in the mix there. But right now, again, I think Gil is on a hill by himself there, far and above these other players right now.
So you're basically saying, Joe, that even though he's like, don't sweat that Abreu's only batting .260. You're saying the OPS is more important than, even though he's only batting .260 though. That's why I didn't have him that high.
Okay. Yeah, because the OPS I love that stat because it combines everything. It shows that he gets on base. It shows that, okay, he's hitting .260, which is good, not great. But when he's getting hits, he's getting productive hits and extra base hits. So I like the OPS stat there because, again, he's, doing some of those things that maybe we don't see in the average, like getting walks and getting on base and getting some extra base hits there as well. So, that's the only reason I would maybe place him above some of those other guys. But other than that, I mean, they all belong in that conversation. But like I said, Gil would be, to me, the overwhelming choice at this point.
But you don't need to feel bad, Joe, because my grandpa, if he was still alive today, was a big baseball fan, and he was a Yankee fan. And if he was playing for the Yankees and he had those numbers, he would love a player like that, a player that only bats like .250 or .260, but does the little things right, like walking and things like that. But
yes.
But anyway, do you want to give your top 5 NL Rookie of the Years?
Yes, and again, I kind of have a shorter list too, and somebody that's far and away above. If we have anybody from Pittsburgh involved with this production, and of course our producer is a Pirates fan there, I would have to choose Mr. Paul Skeens. Making headlines from the second he came up, to the Pirates there from the minors. Probably should have started the year with the Pirates. I think everybody believes that. But again, not only a solid pitcher, which I can give some stats in a second here, but a great thing about him is the Pirates win his games. Now he's 4-0, and I didn't get a chance to check what the Pirates are overall, but again, just 4-0. He hasn't pitched that many games. I think they've won 5 of his starts, but besides that, his ERA, I mean, for a rookie pitcher, 2.14, which is one of the lowest in the National League. So besides the fact that they win his games and his ERA is extremely low, his walks and hits to innings pitched is 0.99. So for a rookie pitcher, that's for a rookie pitcher that throws over 100 miles an hour, I think that's absolutely incredible. And of course, because he does throw at over 100 miles an hour, that would explain the fact why he's got 61 strikeouts and only 46 innings pitched so far. So he would be my overwhelming choice to win that award. Now, other, I guess, honorable mention, because there's really just a supporting cast at this point. There's a guy named Jackson Merrill, who's off to a very good start, 10 home runs, 37 RBIs. Again, talking about that OPS in the mid 700s, solid for a rookie there. Other than that, I'm just going to throw some names out there because I really don't even have, people that compare. This guy named Jung-Hoo Lee of the San Francisco Giants, and, solid player there. If we would have had this conversation maybe a month and a half ago, I would have gone with the Cubs pitcher, Imanaga, because he got off to such a start. And I think I mentioned in one of the shows, when he pitched against the Dodgers early in the season, I felt like I was watching Fernando Valenzuela at that point, bringing back those memories. And his production has dipped. He's had a couple of rough starts, and he's kind of fallen in the standings here as far as Rookie of the Year choices. If he gets back on track, though, and if Skeens maybe has a couple of rough starts and maybe comes back down to earth a little bit, you may see Imanaga get back into that mix. And I mentioned Lee. If I have to go in order here, I would go Skeens and then Merrill, and then I would go Imanaga third, and then Lee beyond that. But there's other good players, Joey Ortiz, Jared Jones, players like that. But really, my tops would be Skeens, Merrill, Imanaga, and maybe Lee there. But unless something changes second half, and again, he gets roughed around or gets hurt or something, Paul Skeens would be my overwhelming choice for National League Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm. My two are Skeens and Joey Ortiz for the Brewers.
Excellent. Yeah, Joey Ortiz, he's an exciting player. And, I didn't even put his stats in here, but, I watched him early in the season, and he's kept it going all the way through. So, we'll see if he can stay in the mix or move up or continue to produce as he is. And, the Brewers are just an excellent surprise. I mean, their division is up for grabs. But right now, it's theirs to lose halfway through the season.
Right, exactly. They're kind of playing a lot of what the Red Sox and what the Mets are starting to do. Some get the small ball, get the running game going with the bigger bases, because that's where the game's going to eventually go to with the new rules. It's just some teams have adapted to it and others haven't. Like the Yankees still have to get used to it, but I think they will, knowing Hal Steinbrenner, knowing that they'll get more guys like that eventually, because that's what they're going to have to do. The Diamondbacks, that's how they made it to the World Series last year. They got the running game involved, and the Rangers did the same thing. So,
right.
Anyway, guess what, Joe? It is now that time in our show for our question of the week segment. Would you like to give it a try? I
would like to give it a try. Am I on a streak here? Did I get it last week or no?
You got it. You did get it last week.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, here's your question. Who holds the record in the MLB for having the most MVP awards? Is it number 1, the king of steroids, Barry Bonds? Number 2, Alex Rodriguez. Number 3, Albert Pujols. Number 4, the Prince of Steroids, Sammy Sosa.
All right. Good questions, or good question and good choices there. I'm going to eliminate Sammy Sosa. You know, he's got the record for the number of Super Balls in his bat. But besides that, I'm going to eliminate him. All right. So we got Pujols, Bonds, and
A-Rod.
Rodriguez, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whew. That is a tough choice. I hate to say it because I was always a Pujols fan and never a Bonds fan. But I am going to say Barry Bonds.
You are on a streak, Joe. Congratulations. It was
All
Barry
right.
Bonds, indeed. The
I
king of voices
didn't want to
gold.
get that one. And I said, I almost went with Pujols because I was going to like, okay, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to go with my guy here. But I was like, nah, I had a hunch that it was Bonds. And all right, I'm on a winning streak here for the first time all year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're only halfway through the season. I mean, it took me long enough.
We're halfway gone, and we're halfway gone. Anyway,
I mean, Jamie, can you believe the fact that this major league season is half over already?
I know it. Just 2 months ago, we just started this thing, and look at where we've come. We actually have 40 live views right now in this show as we speak.
That is excellent. Well, people, we very much appreciate you watching us here.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, anyway, Joe, I want to talk about somebody that hits close to home, and he doesn't hit home for the major leagues because they're not my major league team, but they're my favorite AAA team, the Rochester Red Wings. We're going to talk about Dylan. You make me want to roll my windows down and cruise. Or the Georgia line, Dylan Cruz. Anyway, Cruz was already dominating at the AA level with the Harrisburg Senators, aka the capital of Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. The Nationals' number 2 prospect, was drafted 2nd overall in 2023 behind his former college teammate and now this year's potential Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens. The future National was recently called up to the AAA Red Wings, and Cruz's first home series will be with the Wings, taking on, ironically enough, Paul Cruz's and the Pirates minor league team, the Indianapolis Indians, and he'll be teaming up with 21-year-old James Wood. He'll be teaming up with fellow 21-year-old James Wood, I should say. And we have a quote from manager Matt LaCroix, who's a good manager and is in his 4th year with the team, and I think deserves to come back for a 5th year. Anyway, he says he does everything good, if that makes sense. That's why he was drafted 2nd overall, said LaCroix, who watched Cruz while coaching at big league camp for the Nationals in spring training. His skill level is really high, but the way he plays the game, base running is really good. Defense is really good. Hitting, he's the total package. I just think he needs to continue to play and get the experience at this level to be ready for the big leagues. Well, I don't think he needs experience. I think he's already showing that he could get called up to the big leagues, because look at what happened with Jacob Young last year. He only played 30 games in Rochester, and now he's full-time with the Nationals and hit his first MLB home run. So anyway, the Red Wings will have to enjoy probably Cruz only being here for a short term. With the way he's been hitting and how hot he's been at the plate, he could get called up to the Nationals soon. So, Joe, what do you think of Dylan Cruz's journey from being the number 2 pick to spending most of 2023 and parts of 2024 in AA and already getting called up to the Red Wings to AAA?
Yeah, it's a good move. I don't know a lot about him. Do you happen to know, is he like on the top prospects list or anything like that? Actually, I'm looking at it right now, Jamie.
Yes.
He's number 5 in the Major League Baseball top 100 prospects. So, I wasn't paying attention, I guess. You were talking about James Wood, by the way. He's still number 3 in the top prospects list here. So he probably won't be on the list for long if he stays in the majors here. But, because I generally check this list pretty often just to see where these players are going, or every once in a while either. And honestly, I miss these two here. Maybe because it said Nationals and I wasn't paying too much attention. But yeah, good for him. It would be nice. Do you think maybe he'll be, with the Nationals this year, maybe later in the year or in the summer? What is there a chance he gets called
Could
up?
be eventually later in the summer he gets with the Nationals, and that's the way the game is now. These kids are coming in from college and they're working their tails off to get into the majors early. Like they're all what Derek Jeter did back in the day before prospects started training harder and work harder with off season, and they do their own off season workouts and everything. They don't really have, and they already come into spring training in shape too.
Yeah. So it'll be very interesting. And again, I don't really know a lot about him, but it's always good for a franchise too, to have a number 2 draft pick. You do what's expected and move up through the system pretty quickly and get to the majors before long. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here.
Well, look at his teammate. Look at his college teammate, Paul Skeens, another example, who went before him at number 1.
And what college were they again?
LSU.
Okay, and they won it last year, didn't they?
Yeah, his teammates they did
recently. Yeah, so no wonder why there.
But Tennessee won it this year over Texas A&M.
Yes, and I didn't really get a chance to pay as much attention and see their players, but I'll have to go back and do that. So we'll see, how he does, and looks like he's definitely, kind of like on the old Billboard music charts, right? When a song was rising up fast, it had a bullet. So it seems like Cruz is rising with a bullet here, and should be in the majors before long. Now speaking of that, now I have a question for you, Jamie. I know it's getting late here, but you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago you were able to see, Cole, at the in Rochester there when he did his rehab start. He had a little bit of a rough game last night. He's got like a 9 ERA. How concerned are you, with a performance like that? Do you have any concerns? And I know it was only his second start. He didn't strike anybody out yesterday, and obviously got smacked around, and they scored a lot of runs against him. Do you attribute that to anything, or just maybe getting back in the mix and just getting in mid-season form?
Getting back to, it's really just getting him up to speed. I mean, he's missed a whole year. He had to play like a rookie again, go up to the minors and come back to the majors like a rookie. And it's basically his spring training, but he's a veteran. He's healed up quick. But yeah, it was concerning, but I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing.
All right. And knowing Garrett Cole, he's the type of pitcher that could have a start like that one day and then come back his next start and throw like a 2-hit shutout or something like that, so I kind of thought the same thing, but it's like, I wonder, the velocity was down, again, no strikeouts, which was, very surprising to me, but hopefully that's all it is. Just, again, getting into midseason form. And if he does get into midseason form and there's no issues, he's going to be very fresh come late season, postseason, et cetera. So, hopefully that happens.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's that term that they use nowadays, management load, and it's just unfortunately they're managing his his amount of pitches right now later in the season, and that's hard to do when everybody else is already up to speed. But I think he could catch up. But
Okay.
guess what, Joe? Remember when I said earlier in the show that Giancarlo Stanton was out, and they're going to have to, and they could possibly replace him with another number 27 who hits home runs?
Did JD just hit one at Citi Field?
No. I'm talking about another number 27 from an AL East rivalry. We'll talk about him right now.
Okay.
Well, do things change even if it doesn't fit your original narrative? After personal beef between Toronto Blue Jays All-Star Vlad Guerrero Jr. and his father with a beef over playing for the Yankees, the big hitter may reconsider now. Guerrero Jr. Will become an unrestricted free agent in 2026, but there's a slight of a possibility and a slim chance the Jays could trade him at the July 30th deadline. And we have a quote here from Mr. Guerrero himself. He said, "Someone says things. It's not that I'm trying to take back what I said about the Yankees," Guerrero told Virus Deportivo, "but this is a business. I sat down and spoke with my dad, Vlad Guerrero Sr., and my family, and this is a business. And I said I would never again talk about this topic, and lots of people have asked me about it." So number 27 for the Jays has batted .236 this year with 10 home runs and 36 RBIs with an OPS of 796. Joe, what are your thoughts on rumors now that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is changing his narrative now that he may want to play for the Yankees and the Yankees may want to trade for him in case if Stanton isn't going to ever fully recover?
Yeah, I'll say this. If Guerrero ends up with the Yankees, I'm going to learn a valuable lesson from that. And it's one that I should have already learned a long time ago. Don't believe a word these guys ever say. He swore that he would never be a Yankee and, family things or whatever. I would not be surprised if he ends up in the Bronx by the trade deadline. He's not doing anything with the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, for a team that once had such exciting promise, are the most dull, lifeless, underachieving team we've had in baseball for a long time. So Guerrero's a big reason for that. And him ending up, especially in a place like New York, would totally revitalize his potential, I think, and he would be a huge help to the Yankees. So, again, we've talked about it how many times on this show. The Yankees got to kind of watch the purse strings a little bit, and they got other business to take care of after the season's over. So you got to be careful. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this about the Yankees, but you got to be careful with your spending and how you manage payroll and things like that. So be very interesting to see. And again, if he thinks these questions are going away, if he ends up with the Yankees, then he's sadly mistaken, because a lot of people are going to be asking about that. And, stay tuned. We got about a month to wait, and we'll see what happens.
Yes, stay tuned definitely for that. Just I remember his old man very well, and and I love Junior just as much. So it looks like we come to the end of our show. So Joe, where can we find you and social media landscape on Wednesday, June 26, 2024?
All right. So I am on X Twitter, Joe Dell Sports. I'm a teacher going on summer vacation tomorrow. So I'll have a little bit of extra time to play with it and get some extra information there, and then kind of see exactly what I want to do with it there. But yeah, if you're ever looking for little sports tidbits, stuff we talk about, other stuff around the sports world, just go to Twitter X there, Joe Dell Sports.
Yeah, and then you can always find me, yours truly, at Bill's Chat 1, at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X, and then at theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. And before we wrap it up, we want to thank you guys so much for listening and the progress we made since we started this back in April. And don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, Driving to the Top Productions, and ring that bell for notifications, all that good stuff. We want to continue to grow and just get better every day as a production company. So please subscribe, guys. Thank you very much. And if you want to keep tuning in to the Subway Conversation Chat, log in every Wednesday on our YouTube page, Driving the Top Productions, our Twitch stream, our Facebook stream, or wherever you get your podcasts. So thank you very much for listening, folks. And get your New York sports here next week, Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. See you next week, folks.
Have a great week, everybody.